There's a lot of investment, there's a lot of business that is happening within the lands that are occupied by indigenous communities, and there's been a lot of complaints to the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights on some of the negative impacts that the communities feel that the business has impacted on their rights. So what the Commission wanted to do was to go to the ground and document, identify some of the businesses that are operating on the ground and to document some of the violations and voices from indigenous communities. So the report has captured 13 counties in Kenya, which are the counties where indigenous communities reside, and today has culminated in this report that has identified quite a number of issues where indigenous communities feel that the government needs to take action to ensure that their rights do not clash with the rights of businesses, and that businesses also respect the rights of indigenous communities. Most of these communities do not own land individually. They own land as communities. We have the Community Land Act that was adopted in 2016. There's been quite a number of challenges in terms of even communities registering to get titles. So part of the challenge is that they cannot even engage with the, positively with some of the stakeholders who want to do businesses within their lands because of lack of ownership. When you do not have ownership, then you cannot easily negotiate and engage on what should be done on your land. A lot of the times, the right to free, prior, informed consent is not received from these communities. They get information at the tail end. When businesses are already established, they were not consulted, yet our constitution requires that there must be public participation. There must be informed consent, and that's one of the principles of engaging with indigenous communities. A lot of these communities are marginalized, and there's need to ensure that affirmative action is implemented so that even when these businesses are recruiting the labor force, they recruit from the community, as opposed to always getting people from other communities. A lot of the indigenous communities raise the challenges that they have with conservancies, especially when the conservancies fence off areas where, traditionally indigenous communities graze their animals. We know a lot of them are, pastoralists. So when you close up the areas where they graze their animals, they not only lose a right to earn a living, but you're also contributing to further marginalization of these communities. Our constitution in Article 2.5 and 2.6 says that all these international obligations that we have ratified becomes part of Kenyan law. And one of these global conventions include the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. For us as a commission, we feel that it's quite unfortunate that the government did not see it fit to vote for that particular treaty, especially considering that our legal framework is not really, colliding with that treaty. If you look at the Constitution, the articles that we mentioned, this policy that we have now adopted, the institutions that have been created, really align to what the UN Declaration requires. So part of what we are hoping is that we can engage with the treaty-making process to advise them on why it's important to have this particular treaty ratified, and Kenya, the need for Kenya to take leadership on issues around the rights of indigenous communities. So we are hoping that the report will not just be implemented by the government, but also by the business enterprises. And you'll see that we brought on board the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, who were also instrumental in this public inquiry, because we know that businesses, corporates, and companies play a key role in terms of promotion and protection of human rights. And as I said, sustainable development requires that we are inclusive, but we also take into account the rights of the people where we operate from.